Mm. Okay, we should be live. Let me see if I can wait till I get some audio feedback here. Sure, we'll have somebody jump in the chat and tell us that we're good. We should be live. There it is. Let me see. Okay. All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Reality Survival. And today we're going to be talking with Stephen Epstein. Is that right? On the Freedom Ridge prepper community. He's a real estate developer, and he's going to tell us all about this community and kind of what the deal is with it and where it's at, and if you want to be a part of it and how you can get involved and all that kind of stuff. Before we get going, I just want to let you guys know about this National Body Armor. Nationalbodyarmor.com is where you can take a look at this. I worked out a deal with them to get you guys a 25% discount. This is a backpack insert that can go, like in your kid's backpack or something like that when they go to school, or you can wear it underneath a plate carrier or something like that. If you have poly plates that require a backing as well. So anyway, think about that. If it's something, if you think it's right for you, then check it out. All right. So Stephen, how you doing today, man?
I'm great. I'm excited to bring Freedom Ridge out to the community and to tell people about what's going on here and what's available. It's a really exciting opportunity. Been working on the project for about a year. It's finally ready for prime time. People are buying lots and building stuff or camping on the property or setting up their, like an RV and trying to get off grid. So it's a cool project, and I'm excited to dive into it.
That's cool, man. So why don't we start a little bit about who you are and what your background is, and if you've done this kind of thing before, and just kind of let the audience know a little bit about you personally, and then we'll jump into the.
Yeah, sure. So I moved to Nashville from California, recovering Californian, back in 2012. So I was one of the first people to kind of move to Tennessee from California to escape the tyranny and craziness of things out west. And so I'm now I consider myself a Tennessean through and through. I love the South. I love living in a red state. I love the freedom that we have here, that we still have here compared to some of these other places. And so yeah, I've just been developing real estate in Nashville, doing different things, different projects. My wife has a commercial development company doing condo projects and bigger buildings inside of Nashville. But, just given all the craziness in the world right now, we just thought it'd be really great to own some land, have property off the beaten path. And so I actually bought 323 acres out in Big Sandy, Tennessee, which is a beautiful place about 2 hours from Nashville west. And bought 323 acres out there. Thought I would just keep it forever. Figured I might sell off a little bit of it because 300 acres is a lot of property. Didn't really need that. And so I put it up there on land.com for sale, and I just had tons of people just gobbling it up. Good land in a beautiful area in Tennessee sells very fast. The people that were buying it were from Illinois. They were from New Jersey. They're from all these other blue states coming in, trying to get, a piece of land that they can have as a plan B, place that they could leave a trailer on, or put an RV on, or even just build a house on one day and be off grid, because the property has septic and well water. And yes, we have power, city power, but you can obviously do your own thing for power as well. So anyway, that project was just something I wanted to do for me personally. And then I sold off a few parcels of land, and I was like, damn, this sold so fast. And there was so much demand for it that I said, I ended up selling all of it, made some money doing it, and then figured I would do another one. And except this time I would do it, for a more affordable price point. At Big Sandy, the average lot was selling for, $100 grand, $150 grand, $200 grand. and that's not accessible to a lot of people. And so we made some smaller lots, like 2 to 3 acres starting for like 45 grand, all the way up to like 10, 12 acre lots for, 160, 175 grand. So, so really this was just something that I wanted to do to have a backup plan. And then it just was very successful in the first one. And so I decided to do another one. But right now at Freedom Ridge, we're building a really cool community of people that are just really off-grid minded and want to be 20 minutes to a hospital, 20 minutes to a Walmart, but also want to be like properly off the beaten path.
So sort of on that urban rural fringe where you're close enough to take advantage of the city, but yet still out there, kind of where you got your own privacy and that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's cool because we got a military base nearby. So I do feel like, there's a lot of military folk that live in the area, a lot of veterans, a lot of retired military folks buying lots in Freedom Ridge. So just, the kind of people that you want to have be your neighbor, because they're going to be prepared. They're going to be thoughtful about, the use of force and just firearms and all that stuff. They're trained, they're knowledgeable. So that just makes me sleep well at night. Knowing that my neighbors are veterans.
So far, are most people looking at it as a place to build a house, like a primary residence, or are people looking at it more of like a bug out kind of community, like a little place to go as a retreat kind of thing?
I think it's a mix. I think you got people that are wanting to buy that to build a house on in the next 2 or 3 years, to build like a nice cabin that they can just retire. A lot of retirees, folks in their 50s and 60s, either on a pension or retired military people or whatever, that want to be kind of away from everything and have neighbors, like not be out all alone. Maybe they're a little older and they don't want to be totally isolated, but then still have a lot of privacy, right? You can get 5 or 6 acres and be very, very private in the woods and still have neighbors, still have a sense of community,
Right.
But the people that are buying lots at Freedom Ridge are, I'd say a third of them are trying to build in the next 2 or 3 years. A third of them are probably putting like an RV pad on them, and they're just going to park their trailer or camper there, or their mobile home, whatever, and they're just going to leave it there. And then they may leave periodically to go do trips and travel, but this is like going to be their home base. And then I'd say a third of the people that are buying them are just buying it as a plan B, just to have it in case they need it later. Because they know they can always just get there and have a safe place to land. And they're doing that also because they know it's a good investment, because land in Tennessee has just been going crazy. And even though the economy is slowing a little bit right now, I mean, to be able to buy something for 13, 15 grand an acre in a beautiful subdivision where you've already got electrical and you've got your water figured out, you've got your sewer figured out. Like, it's not done for you, but it's all figured out.
So is the electrical already to each lot? Do you already have it's already out to each lot there?
Yeah, so we've strung electrical lines throughout all the roads, so you can just grab the electrical right at your lot line and then put it on wherever on your property that you want it.
And then are the roads there? Are they going to be public roads paid, by the local community, or are they going to be private roads?
They're private gravel roads that are going to be maintained by just the neighbors, coming together. But there's no HOA. We didn't want to have the HOA. We don't want to have expensive dues. Property taxes are cheap out there. We want to keep it very, very affordable.
What's the range of property taxes roughly that folks will be looking at?
You're not going to believe this. It's about $100 an acre a year.
Wow. That's crazy.
So if you've got 4 acres, I mean 3.5 acres, you're at like $400 for the year. I mean,
I'm in New Hampshire, and I only have 2 acres here, a little over 2 acres, and I pay about roughly $900 a month for property taxes.
Damn. Yeah. So
yeah, that's what I said too.
and if if you're more than 10 acres in Tennessee, I think, or what is it? I can't remember off the top of my head. 7 acres or 10 acres. Don't quote me. You can enroll in the Greenbelt program, which is rural, like farmland, and then your taxes are even less.
Nice. And then Tennessee also, if I remember correctly, they don't tax income, right? They also don't tax retirement income at all, which, is kind of a separate category. And there was something else that's real tax friendly about Tennessee too. I don't remember what it was, but military retirements as well, or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. But yeah, I mean, our sales tax is normal. It's high like everybody's, but I mean, no state income tax definitely saves you a lot of money. If you're on a pension or fixed income or anything, or just even if you make a lot of money, it's great. I mean, man, it's 10% in a lot of places, right?
Sure.
So a lot. But the thing is, like, you could go to Florida, right? And you don't pay any state income tax in Florida, but your property taxes are insane.
Yeah.
Texas has, I think, mid-range property taxes, but Tennessee is still very, very cheap. So the states that have no state income tax, we're one of the ones that have like the lowest, cheapest property taxes.
Yeah.
That's really appealing,
Yeah, that's very cool. So can you describe the property for us a little bit? Just like, is it mostly pasture or wooded or a mix?
Yeah. Do you want to pull up the website actually?
Yeah.
And we can play that video in the background without the sound.
Okay.
It's really beautiful land. It's very green. Nashville has lots of trees, lots of grass. Get like 100 days of rain a year. So it's very, very lush and very, very green. It's hilly. All of Tennessee is hills and a lot of rock and stuff. We're lucky in this little section of Freedom Ridge where we are, is that every lot has water and can perk.
Good.
Which is really cool. So yeah, if you just hit play on this video and let it roll without the sound.
Okay. Let's see if I can. Do I need to expand it out a little bit?
No, just click the play button and it'll roll.
Have you ever dreamed?
There you go. And then people can kind of see that in the background while we're talking. So you can see beautiful views, very green. These videos were taken during the summer. We just put some stuff in for camping, but there's flat sections on every single lot. You can get one of the lots that's got a lot of trees. You can get one of the lots that's got more open areas, but you can see those green areas. Each one of those is one lot.
Okay.
So, and we're really close. We're really close to the water. Only about I think 20 minutes, not even, to a boat ramp. So it's pretty cool. But you can see it's very beautiful land.
Sort of in the hills. It looks like it was a little bit of a hilly area. Are there lakes and ponds on the property, or creeks, or is it for water? Or are most people going to be doing a well?
Most people are just going to do well for water. Okay. We've drilled 4 wells on the property already. If somebody wants a lot that has water, then we can sell them one of the lots with a well on it. But we drilled 4 wells and they were all around 200 feet.
Okay.
And the cost of drilling a well is between 10 and like 14 grand for us, which is nice because we've proven that there's water. But this is gorgeous. You got to see. I mean, coming from New Hampshire, I think your mind would be blown if you went to Land Between the Lakes National Park, or State Park right there. It's a national rec area, but it's beautiful. And you can see how close we are to that. There's hunting and fishing, and it's 170,000 acre nature preserve where you can hunt and fish and be on the Tennessee River. So it's a pretty amazing, beautiful geography. You're like, 2 hours to Nashville. You're 25 minutes to Clarksville, which is where the military base is.
How big is Clarksville?
I think it's a few 100,000 people. It's not a huge city, but it's, I think, the 4th or 5th biggest city in Tennessee. So it's don't quote me on that. I'm not a geography expert, but
gotcha.
It's beautiful land. And Clarksville's got some good stuff going on. Downtown farmers market and some interesting things. So it's like, I think if you're think most people don't want to be like out in the woods all by themselves in the middle of nowhere because it's just a bit scary. You want to be like, I mean, for most people, right? Some people
Yeah.
want that. But for
Sure.
most people, you want to be, 20, 30 minutes, 20 minutes from a hospital, 20 minutes from a grocery store. It's really fun to be an hour and a half from Nashville. There's a lot going on. International airport, if you need to get out of the country, whatever, you can still get in and out pretty easily. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really excited about just this very, very pretty land. And
it seems really cool. I've been thinking about trying to get something in Tennessee. And I went down there over the summer, and the prices were so ridiculous. I was like, well, I don't know if that's going to be an option,
It's getting so expensive.
Yeah.
It is crazy, man. Like if you go, so we're about an hour and 20 minutes from downtown Nashville. If you go an hour and 20 minutes south of Nashville instead of north here, you're going to be spending 60, 80 grand an acre.
Yeah.
This is 13, 14, 15. This is not going to last, man. Like you can't get beautiful land like this, in the middle of a really nice area near the lake, near the river for this kind of money in a lot of places. Like Nashville is getting snatched up by all the people moving here. It really is. So,
So what, as far as like how many lots are left that are available, like how far out, like, I mean,
yeah. So we just started selling these. We just started marketing this development about 3 weeks ago, and we have about 8 or 9 sold, and the whole development is 42 lots.
Okay.
And you can get a 2 or 3 acre lot for 45 grand, which is our cheapest lot, which is still really nice lot, just 2.5 acres, whatever.
Yeah.
Or you can get a 12 acre piece for 180,000 or something. And all the prices here, if you scroll down right below this video, all the prices are listed.
Oh, okay.
If you just scroll down a little bit more, they're all on the bottom here on the freedomridge.com website. But
so no restrictions on like ATV riding or hunting and fishing or nothing like that. There's no covenants on the property or
right. Exactly. You I mean, you're not going to fish on the property because there's no body of water, but you can shoot guns, put up some targets and have fun, just be safe, obviously. You can build a shop on your property. You could put a barn dominium. There's a lot of folks in Tennessee doing barn dominiums. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. We got a couple builders. We got a couple builders that build barn dominiums that we can turn people on to. And then you can park your RV there. You can leave it there. You can park your boat there. You could leave your boat there. You could create a RV, a shed for your RV, covered parking for your RV, covered parking for your boat. You could build a car garage, a man cave. You can do whatever you want.
What's the process like for as far as like building permits? Do you just have to have the zoning compliance officer come out and do a building permit, or do you have to like go before a zoning board, or what's the deal there?
You're not going to believe this. Stewart County has no zoning.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. You have to just build to the standard building code, and that's it.
So I got a super chat question here. Somebody said it's beautiful, but that close to Nashville, are you concerned about sprawl catching up to you on a 5-10?
That's always a question. That is always a concern. I don't know. Yeah, I would be, but I mean, if you want to be close to a hospital and civilization, you can go farther out, and it'll take a lot longer for sprawl to catch you. But for a lot of people, I think they want the comfort of being a little closer to some services and stuff.
Well, I'm wondering if the most of the development right now, at least from what I knew of it, I think a lot of it's been going south and east, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's harder to build west here because there is a lot more rock and there's a lot more topography, so it's hard to find flat land like what we have.
Right.
flat is all relative, right? It's still hilly. It's still hilly at Freedom Ridge, but it's less hilly than a lot of the surrounding areas. But Clarksville is expanding. It is a booming city, and it is growing. And
you said it's about 20 minutes outside of Clarksville?
25 minutes.
25 minutes. So we're roughly what, 12, 15, 20 miles? I mean, we're roughly.
Yeah, maybe like 20 miles, I think.
Something like that. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. So you already covered the public land.
The zoning thing is really cool because, you know, even in Nashville, you'd be surprised how much they're telling you what you can do and what you can't do with setbacks off of your lot. And, you got, you know, you can't park my wife and I live in Mount Juliet, which is like a 35 minutes outside downtown Nashville suburb, near the lake. And we love it. It's beautiful. But they got the Army Corps engineer there telling you what you can do with on your land. You got, you know, building department, you got codes, you got zoning, you got setbacks, you got septic field has to be this big. I mean, everything's a pain, and that's more and more like everywhere.
It's really bad. I'm actually on a zoning board here locally, and it's ridiculous. Like, it really is. I mean, it's the part of the reason why I decided to join the board is because it's so overly burdensome for people, you know. It's just really bad. So I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for people as much as possible, but yeah, some people like to have control, you know. So that's kind of cool that it's in an area where they don't have anything at all. I mean, that's when it comes to putting up some kind of a bug out retreat or something like that, that definitely makes it a lot more doable, because a lot of places would say, you know, once you purchase the property, you have to build within a certain number of years. It has to be a primary residence of a certain size and all that kind of thing, you know. So not having those restrictions is kind of cool.
Or you have to get your architectural plans approved by some HOA, some homeowners association that you want. Here, there is no homeowners association, which, you know, cuts down on the cost a lot, because those things they always are doing assessments. They're always doing, we got to put in this, or, we have to do this. And you're like, who are we paying for? Now we're paying for a management company who's going to tell us what to do with our land. Like, you know, like,
yeah. And the courts have ruled in homeowners association favors very consistently over the years. And they're very tyrannical. Like, they just don't have a lot of checks on their power. So,
and the people that are on those homeowner associations are always like the people that got nothing to do. You know, they're the nosy neighbors that like want to know what's going on, and like, you know, they're getting all up in your business. And so, you know, there's
so much truth to that. It's not even funny.
The whole idea here is like, look, you know, come to a community where you can be totally free. There's no restrictions. There's no covenants. There's no HOA. There's no, you know, I mean, if my wife and I lived in Nashville, and we had an RV for like a little bit. This was like years ago, and we parked it, and it's not allowed in the community, right? We parked it for one night. I was getting back from a trip one night, okay, out in the front yard. The cops were there the next morning, one night, and they were all over us. And I was like, I'm not leaving the damn RV in our front yard. Relax, people, you know? So then the cops came, and we were like, we're not keeping the RV here. Don't worry. But that's not going to happen in Freedom Ridge, because you can park your RV there. You can, you know, I mean, and I like the manufactured home model a lot. I don't know if you've looked into that at all, AJ, but we're working with this one group where you can buy like an 1,800 square foot beautiful house for like $120,000, and you can plop it down on, you know, a pad on Freedom Ridge. It's going to take you 3 to 6 months to get that house now because of the supply chain crap and all that. But like, you're talking a house for $100 a square foot, a nice house. You cannot build for that. It costs $250 a foot to do a stick built home. So if you've got, you know, $250,000 and you want to have an 1,800 square foot house on, you know, 3 acres, you get a brand new house, right? Where are you going to buy that? There's nowhere in the United States where you can get that now. Like, because construction costs are just gone crazy.
Sure.
So
as long as you don't mind if your neighbor has a little, shed in his house, and that's just, or connexes or something. I mean, there are ups and downs to not having any homeowners association in total, but if you're looking for that freedom, to
but
be able to do what you want.
A lot of these lots, you can't even see your neighbors. You've got like you pull in off the road, you got trees on both sides, you clear a little path, and then you do an opening in the middle of the trees. So you're totally private on,
Gotcha.
On 3 acres, and you feel like you can't see your neighbors necessarily. Now there's some lots where you can see your neighbors, but there's a lot where you just can't, because it's private enough. So.
Just out of curiosity, is there any plans for any kind of a community facilities or fencing or gates in the front or anything, or is it all just going to be open and people can do what they want with their own piece?
It's going to be pretty open. There's some talk of doing a community garden, like a shared a garden that people can work together to kind of harvest and grow, or have different people with different patches of land. A lot of people are going to be keeping chickens and keeping a few animals around, which is nice. You get fresh eggs, and you can do all that. But there's not really any. I mean, I'm sure that stuff naturally evolves, right? Like at this first project that we did, we said no homeowners association, no restrictions, and then naturally all the neighbors got together, and even if not all of them did, but there were 17 lots in that first project, and like 12 people all come together, and they're like, we're going to invest some money in making sure that the roads are good. Like everybody pitch in, $200, but they did that because they wanted to, and because you didn't have to. It wasn't. It was just being a good neighbor,
Mutual decision. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's cool, and I think that naturally evolves in any good community. But like people are helping each other out, which is really cool. Like borrowing tools from each other, I've heard, and like, one guy's sending the other guy, okay, what electrician did you use? Okay, I use this guy. What well driller did you use? Okay, I use this guy, and lending people equipment and helping people out. It's nice. It's like going back to to really like our roots as a country of just being on the frontier, and like everybody pitching in and having a community, and like being a responsible, good neighbor.
Sure. Yeah. So what about the utility easements? Is there any like pipelines or high tension power lines coming through or anything like that? Or
no, there's an electrical easement along the road, along the main road, where the power lines are ran through, but no, there's no pipelines or anything going through the property. It's pretty simple. I mean, the roads are common roads, but the lot lines are drawn around the roads, and there's just that's all recorded with the county. So yeah, it's pretty simple.
Very cool. What should we talk about that we haven't so far? What else is left? Is there anything we didn't cover that people should know about? I mean, they can go to freedomridge.com to check out, learn a little bit more there. What else do we need to discuss?
I guess I would say just the process for buying a lot, maybe, or just some things that people might want to learn about if they're looking at buying land, whether that's at Freedom Ridge or some other community. The very first thing you want to know or need to know is if the land perks, meaning does it percolate? Meaning if you're off grid like here, you're going to have to put in a septic system, and you're going to need a perk test. And a perk test is if it's too rocky, the land doesn't absorb the septic field. It can't perk. It doesn't seep into the and into these leach fields correctly. And so, if you buy land that doesn't perk, you really can't build on it, because in order to have the only thing you need, like, there's no zoning or requirements, but if you're going to put a septic system in, you still have to go through the Tennessee Department of,
safety or whatever.
Yeah. So there's still and that's easy. Your septic guy pulls that permit for you, and it's not a big deal, but you still have to have proof that your lot perks. And it costs about $600-700 to send somebody out to go do perk tests on you know, a 1 to 2 acre, 3 acre parcel of land.
Sure.
And so before you buy something, definitely make sure it perks. At Freedom Ridge, we went and spent that money on every single lot to give somebody the perk test certificate so that they have that and it's recorded with the lot. And so then you know without a shadow of a doubt that it's going to be fine and you're going to get your permit to go build on. So that's really important. And I mean, obviously that costs money and it takes time to get, but a lot of people have bought land and they didn't test that. And then, you know, they end up overpaying for the land or whatever. We were really fortunate. Every single lot in our communities perked.
Oh, good.
And then, you know, same thing with water. You got to be careful that the water table is, you know, at a distance and a depth that's financially viable. Like in Texas, a lot of you can buy cheap land, but you got to go down like 500 or 600 feet to get water. And that can be really impractical and really expensive. And you know, you might drill 600 feet and have a dry well and end up spending like 30, 40 grand on a well. And then you didn't hit water. So you got to drill again. And guess what? You can get a dry well a second time, right? So it's risky. And what we tried to do at Freedom Ridge is take some of the risk out of all of these things. We drilled 4 wells on 4 different parts of the property. You have to pull the website. There was little icons that showed where we drilled each well, and it's in strategic areas across the entire property to show people, look, there's water here, there's water here, there's water here, there's water here. We hit it at about 200 feet each time. We know where the water table is. So that's really good because you're probably going to hit it the first time. High degree of likelihood you're going to hit water the first time. And then second thing is, you know where the water table is, so you have an idea of what it's really going to cost. So those are 2 big gotchas of things that people mess up when they're buying, you know, raw land. I mean, it's fine to buy land if you're just planning on ATVing or camping on the land or, you know, putting your RV there. But the real value of the land is, you know, you could hold this land for 5 years, flip it and make a nice profit, hopefully, and then, you know, go buy something again more rural if that's what you're into. But at least when you're selling it, you know that their buyer, even if you're not going to use water and sewer, that the person that you eventually sell the lot to is definitely going to want that, or at least value that a lot more than a lot that doesn't have it, right? So those are 2 things to look out for. Obviously, the zoning thing is really important, right? You want to know what the zoning is and what the zoning laws are. Each county is different. In Tennessee, we have more and more counties that are putting in stringent zoning. So you've got to go further out into very rural areas. Some of these rural areas don't have the power service, right? If you buy a lot, you got to know where the power is. If you have to bring power in like a mile or 2 miles because you didn't pay attention to where the closest power line is, that can be just prohibitively expensive, right? So again, we're trying to, like at Freedom Ridge, we're trying to take some of these variables out. So it's like, okay, at your lot line, you've got power, right? You're literally running it as far as you're going to put the house away from the street. Like that's as far as you're going to have to really run it to the closest pole. It's not very far. So those power, water, electric, it sounds obvious, but people do make a lot of mistakes. You know, not knowing like what questions to ask.
As far as the water goes, is the water that you guys are getting, does it have any sulfur taste or flavor or like iron or anything like that, or is it pretty good quality?
So far it's been great. It tastes really good to me. But yeah, I think it's, from what I've heard so far, it's been great.
Cool.
But yeah, and especially when you think about what they're putting in our water supply these days with all the fluoride and all these other things, you know.
How about high-speed internet?
Yeah, so we have high-speed internet ran along the power lines. So you can
is it going to be like fiber optic, or is it just cable, or what type?
It's fiber. Yeah.
Okay. And that's going with the power lines, you said?
It runs along the power line, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. It's really cool. I don't know the exact speed, but it's fast. It's great. It's great. Great internet. So yeah, that's important. That's a good call. Some people are doing some solar. I've heard of recycling biofuels and things like that, where you recycle the waste, and you can get really complicated in the whole
Sure.
totally off grid. I think it's probably just adequate. I mean, to have a generator, that like as a backup, and use the grid.
Propane tank, and
use the grid. Bring your own propane in, because you don't have natural gas out there, so you're gonna have underground propane tank, and then you're off the grid. If the power goes out or whatever, if there's a storm or a natural disaster of any kind, I mean, it happens. If you've got a generator and you're on propane and your water is, well water, and you've got a septic system, I mean, you're good to go for a really long time.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It sounds like a really cool spot. Like I said, I might look into it myself. If somebody is interested in picking up one of these plots, what is the next steps for them, do you think? What do you recommend?
Just go on freedomridge.com, and all the contact information and how to reach us is on there. We're actually doing we're doing for about 10 lots. We said we would do seller financing, so people can put like 10% down, and we'll actually we'll be the bank. So we'll do seller financing for folks that, if they're like, this sounds good, but I don't have 45 grand to just write a check for. You can get a bank loan, but we're doing seller financing at 7%, which is cheaper than what the banks are offering right now. Banks are like about 8.25%.
Yeah.
So we're trying to offer that as an incentive for people, if they want to, if they're serious and they're ready to go. But that's going to get gobbled up pretty quick.
So if somebody was wanting to say 5 acres, what would a payment roughly look like? What sort of down payment are you asking for? Credit rating and all that.
So we're asking for like a 10% down, roughly minimum 5 grand down. So, and then the payments will be like, I don't know, $1,000 to $1,500 a month. And we do a 3-year note. There's a balloon at the end of it, because it won't be fully paid off in 3 years, but you'll have the note, highly paid down by about half, I think, after about 3 years. It's the way the math works out. So the monthly payment's a little bit high, but it, most people want to just pay off the loan as fast as they can, and just not have a payment every month.
Sure. Yeah.
So you could get into our entry, our 3 acre, 2.5 acre lot at Freedom Ridge for 5 grand down and $1,000 a month. And you'd be, you could refinance that loan when you want to build something, and, roll that loan into a construction loan or whatever with a bank.
Gotcha.
If you want to get a house financed,
use the equity from the land as part of the payment for the building a place or something like that.
Exactly. That's what a lot of people are doing. Or, we have a few people that are doing, they want to do the seller financing option. We only had one person take us up on the seller financing option, surprisingly, so far. But, they're selling their house. So they want to, they need a bridge loan, right? So they're in the middle of selling their house. They've got 5 grand. They're going to put that down. They're going to do $1,000 payments for 4, 5, 6 months, wait for the house to sell, and they'll pay off the note. So gotcha. It's nice if you need like a short-term bridge loan. You're selling some other piece of property, and you want to roll the money into this thing, or, but you need a little time.
Sure.
It's good for people like that. So
and then you sell the current house, and then you pay that loan off. You've got your piece of property paid off. You get you an RV, live in the RV until you build your house.
That's what people are doing. And then they sell the RV when the house is built, right? So they're flipping from one to the next. But that totally works, and I mean, you could get a well drilled in several months. You could have a pad done pretty quick. I mean, you could have a fully, a modular house on there, in fully built and done installed in under 6 months.
Yeah.
Brand new home, with everything, with the water, the septic, everything done in less than 6 months. Which, I mean, if you were to try to build right now, it'd take you build ground up, it'd take you a year at least,
Sure.
So
do you anticipate many folks dealing with realtors on these things? Or, I mean, if somebody has a realtor and they want to contact you, do you whatever? I mean, what's your...
We'll work with realtors, but the realtor is not really doing anything for you. Like, the sale price of the lot is the sale price of the lot. They've all been selling at the list price. I mean,
Sure.
It's a fair price. We're not really negotiating it. There's enough demand to where, I mean, it doesn't really get much simpler. We have people paying for lots on credit card, like,
Right.
just throw it on an Amex or something, and
Yeah.
60 grand. We're like, we'll take credit card, sure. So it's not that complicated, I mean, you send us the money, we send you the deed to the property. I mean, this is, you don't really need a realtor. I mean,
Right.
you can, but you're spending money. I mean, we would rather give you a credit at closing, towards your closing costs, because you don't have a realtor, compared to you've got one, and we're not going to do that. Right. So.
Right. Okay. Well, very cool. Is there anything else we didn't discuss, or is that pretty well cover it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I would just end by saying, I think that, you have a rare opportunity in Tennessee where you can still buy very affordable land. It's appreciating a lot.
Mhm.
Clarksville is very in demand. I don't think in 3 years you'll be able to buy anything in this area for anywhere near this money. There's a lot of people looking. There's a lot of land getting gobbled up. There are subdivisions going in, not super close to this, but there are a lot of other subdivisions going in. And most people are getting, 1 acre lots, half acre lots, even out in the suburbs. So, I mean, I think if you want to, from an investment standpoint, I'm trying to keep as many of these lots as I can, because I believe in the long term. I believe there's a great long-term opportunity. We've made a lot of money in Nashville buying land and selling land, and you can make money flipping stuff, but if you just buy and hold forever, you make way more money. If I had just bought and held, some of these properties that I flipped, I was buying houses in East Nashville in 2013, bought a house for, I bought a lot for like 90 grand and I flipped it for 110 grand. I thought I was brilliant. Well, that lot's worth like 350 grand today. Right. So I made my 20 grand, but if I just held it for 5 years, I would have made 250 grand.
Right.
I would have made 10 times the money if I was just patient, and so I think if you're patient and you buy right and you get something quality, you don't just, because you can buy cheaper land. Even in this area, you can buy garbage land for 8 grand an acre instead of 13 grand an acre.
Yeah.
You're not getting the quality, and who cares? And in 10 years, if it's worth 80, 100 grand, 150 grand an acre, what do you care? You paid 3-4 grand more an acre. You got something really good.
And I assume that you're primarily marketing this toward, I mean, I guess you'll sell it to anybody, I would imagine, but it seems like to me, given the fact that you reached out to me, that you're trying to kind of market this towards preppers and that kind of thing. Is that accurate, or how are you guys kind of putting this out there to the community?
Of course. I mean, by fair housing laws, you have to be willing to sell to anybody. You can't discriminate on the basis of politics or anything like that. As much as I'd like to outlaw certain political beliefs from my community, but I really don't think they're going to get left-wing nuts out in Freedom Ridge. I think they're going to self-select themselves out of here. But yeah, to your point, I mean, you want to create a great neighborhood of like-minded folks, and you want to, cater to where the demand is. And I think the demand is military people, and it's people that want to be a little bit off grid, and they want to be a little bit off the beaten path. And so that naturally draws us towards, the prep community. So
yeah. Oh, very cool. Well, Stephen, thank you for coming on here. I really appreciate it. If you guys are interested in this, then head over to freedomridge.com and you can sign up, take a look at it, and
and let them know JJ sent you, because that's important. We want to take extra good care of you. So
yeah, that would be great.
thanks, guys.
Cool.